Good evening, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Welcome to the Kent City Council meeting for March 17th, 2026. If you could all please rise and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Melissa, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Ralph.
Here.
Council President Corr. Councilmember Boyce.
Here.
Councilmember Boyd.
Here.
Councilmember Larmer.
Here.
Councilmember Michaud.
Here.
Councilmember Shoker.
Here.
And Councilmember Troutner.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes?
No changes from staff, Your Honor.
Seeing none, a motion would be in order to approve the agenda as published.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda stands as published. We are going to now move into public recognition. We have two proclamations this evening. The first proclamation we have is Mary Loop Remembrance Day. Really excited about this proclamation and the opportunity to honor someone that has left such an amazing legacy on the city of Kent. Joining us this evening is Mike Heinisch, former director of Kent Youth and Family Services, and Mary's family members. So I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation and then invite you up to say a few words. The proclamation says, whereas the City of Kent honors the life of Mary Loop, who lived in Kent for 40 years and passed away peacefully on December 19th, 2025. And whereas Mary helped shape the lives of Kent citizens through her public service by directing youth choirs, organizing square dance classes, leading scout activities, and organizing and participating in March of Dimes fundraising events, and was a substitute teacher at Scenic Hill Elementary. And whereas Mary was crowned the first princess of Kent Cornucopia Days Festival in 1946, became the first president of Scenic Hill PTA in 1962, followed by a life membership in the Congress of Parents and Teachers. And whereas in 1970, Mary founded the Sixth Chamber, a crisis center for youth, in a little red house on North 4th and served as the volunteer director until 1973. And that successful program expanded into what is now Kent Youth and Family Services. And whereas in 1975, Mary helped design the Kent Commons while she was on the Kent Parks Board and was president of the Kent Development Downtown Association from 1975 to 1977. And whereas after moving out of Kent, Mary continued her service to make significant contributions to the Snoqualmie region. Thus, the lifetime achievements of Mary have made Kent and Snoqualmie much better places for all of us to live, learn, work, and play. So her dedication to our community shall never be forgotten. And now, therefore, I, Dana Ralph, Mayor of Kent, do hereby proclaim March 29th, 2026 to be Mary Loop Remembrance Day in the City of Kent and call upon the community to join me in celebrating the legacy that Mary left for all residents of Kent and beyond. I'm going to go ahead and have you guys come up. We'll take a
Yeah, I'm Kim Luke. It's good to meet you too.
Do a picture, and then I'm going to have you guys speak to us.
About an hour.
Hey, given all the amazing things, yes.
How you doing, Mike? How you doing, Mike? Nice to see you, man. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, 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 yes.
Well, on behalf of Kim, who'll be up here in just a minute, Kim Loop, Mary's son, and longtime caregiver in the last number of years of her life. Thank you so much. It was very appreciated. You know, I was fortunate enough to follow a legacy that was Mary Loop, to run Kent Youth Family Services for 21 years and contribute to this community, I hope, myself. But a legacy like Mary, you just can't forget. And so I'm delighted to say that you're remembering it tonight with the proclamation. And her impact here on Kent exists today with the Commons, with Kent Youth Family Services, with the thriving Scenic Hill community that it still is in Scenic Hill Elementary School, and what's now the Kent Downtown Partnership. And when they moved out of Kent to go to North Van to open up the office for Bill Anderson at the time, insurance company, she continued her legacy in the Valley. And there's an agency out there now called Encompass, which Mary was the first paid executive director of. It's a thriving agency, early child development agency. So it's a delight for me to have gotten to know her and the Loop family. And she was as humble as anybody could be for the accomplishments in her lifetime. And whenever I went and visited her, Mother's Day and Christmas, typically out at their home in North Bend, she always wanted to know about Kent. Always wanted to know about Kent. Never forgot Kent. And Kent isn't forgetting her tonight. So thank you very much. Kim?
All right. Thank you, Mike. So as Mike said, I'm her son, Kim. So KM graduate, 1974.
Go Royals.
Go Royals. Had to get that in. So as I was digging around, my mother also was a genealogist. We have a whole room full of archival boxes, way back to my 7th great-grandfather, Gerlach Loop in Germany. And so finally I found this little stack of papers that were all about Mary's life. It took a while to find them, because I think she didn't really put those as a high priority. But here's all the evidence that Mike was speaking to. Letters of recommendation, of thanks, certificates earned. Amazing, amazing woman. I don't know how she got all that in her lifetime. And you heard the story of her life. So I found her November 3rd, 1943, high school vocational assessment page, vocational counselor page. Mary Morris, that was her maiden name, and it starts out, her alternatives, it says defer at first, top vocational choice, it says defer, like she can't make up her mind like me back then. And then design, art, psychological consultation, personnel technician, I suppose that's a manager today perhaps, social science services, and then home ec. Then it goes down below, specialized training needed, and it writes art major, question mark. And then there's corrective habits needed. This is what made me laugh. There's only one check. It says guard against underachievement from poor work habits. And the list of things she accomplished in her 97 years to me is so humbling.
Yes.
I wonder what I've been doing at 70 going, oh boy, I got to get busy. And I'm so grateful that you've just made the effort to pause and look back and then especially carry your legacy forward in just the practices you perform every day for this city, my hometown. It's just great to be in your presence. And I found a poem that I think suits her, and then I'll stop. It's by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he was one of the transcendentalists. So he was a progressive thinker back there a couple hundred years ago. And it's brief, so it won't go too long. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the approbation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to give of oneself, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to have played and laughed with enthusiasm and sung with exultation, to know even one life has breathed easier because of you, have lived, that is to have succeeded. So I think she pulled that off really well.
Yes, you did.
Thank you again for honoring her. I'll carry the plaque and get it framed and keep it in front of me as long as I breathe.
Thank you.
Kim, I feel like that poem captured your mom's life. It was written about her before she was born. I have to admit, I knew about the Kent Youth and Family legacy, but it wasn't until we started working on the proclamation that I learned so many more things. And I cannot think of anyone more deserving of that lasting memory, that remembrance, than your mom. Her fingerprints are all over this community in every sense: economic development, childhood development, protecting of families, so many places. And I don't know anyone else that has done that much to take care of this place that we all love. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, we are all very lucky to be a part of her legacy. So. Okay. We have another proclamation that is also about taking care of people. So joining us tonight is Christy Merrill, the Red Cross Community Volunteer Leader, and we have a proclamation for American Red Cross Month. I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation, and then Christy, I'll have you come up and we'll do a quick photo and have you say a few words. So the proclamation says, whereas for more than a century, the American Red Cross has been at the forefront of helping Americans prevent, prepare for, and respond to large and small disasters. Families and communities depend on the Red Cross in times of need, and the Red Cross depends on American people to sustain the foundation. And whereas in Kent, the American Red Cross works tirelessly through its volunteers to support us when disaster strikes, when someone needs life-saving blood, or the comfort of a helping hand. It provides 24-hour support to members of the military, veterans, and their families, and provides training in CPR, aquatics, and first aid. And whereas the Red Cross makes Kent safer and stronger, Kent formally recognizes American Red Cross and its critical humanitarian role in our community, and honors King County American Red Cross contributions to making Kent a better place. Now, therefore, I, Dana Ralph, Mayor of Kent, do hereby proclaim March 2026 to be American Red Cross Month in the City of Kent, and urge its observance to all Kent residents.
Two phones here, so this one, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
The last time I was in this room was last spring, when we were in the middle of our Sound the Alarm, where we went into areas of Kent, and I know that Mayor Ralph came with us, and
It's a fantastic day.
it was a wonderful day, wasn't it? And we were able to install free smoke alarms into over 400 homes here in Kent. So it was such a pleasure. I have been with the Red Cross for about 6 years now, serving in various capacities. And I wanted to share just briefly a few things that is near and dear to my heart as I am able to volunteer for the Red Cross. We prevent and alleviate suffering. That is one of our mission statements, is helping to alleviate suffering. We mobilize volunteers and donors, utilizing community support, disaster services, and that's where I serve mainly in, is with disaster services, providing food, clothing, and health services. Emergency preparedness, teaching safety skills and community training. And then we help with our military and support families. assisting with communication and emergencies. For over half of our country's 250-year history, communities like Kent have cared for each other through the American Red Cross. The Red Cross Month, we thank you for recognizing this ongoing support and the people who deliver our humanitarian mission at a time when humanity is often what our world needs most. And I'd like to end with a question. Has anyone here, by the raise of hands, been touched in some way by the Red Cross throughout their life? Thank you. Every time I ask that question, there is always someone. So, thank you.
Christy, thank you for your commitment to taking care of people. That day that we were here in council chambers for the training for the smoke detector deployment, it was such an amazing thing to see so many people just wanting to go out and take care of their neighbors. And that part I thought was overwhelming. And then we got into the neighborhood and went door to door, knocking on people's doors. Some people had signed up and we knew that they needed a smoke alarm, and others just knocked on the door and said, "Are you interested?" And the conversations and the number of people that were overwhelmed that there was a community that cared about them enough to come in and give them something for free that could save their lives. It was pretty incredible. So,
You know, one of the things, and I'll share this if you don't mind, is for those that weren't here, we had half of our volunteers were Latinos. And we were able to go into some of the areas down here in the valley that have mobile homes. And what was just so heartwarming is people that are afraid to have somebody knock on their door. We were concerned about that. But because we put some of our volunteers that did speak Spanish down in those areas, they were coming out of their homes into the streets, asking if they could have smoke alarms. It was just beautiful.
it was.
It was a great experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. Toby was here that day helping organize and facilitate, and thank you, Toby. The next item on our agenda under Public Recognition Council, I am bringing before you reappointment to the Kent Parks and Recreation Commission. Miriam Alvarez Pintor has agreed to stay on for a second term on the Parks Commission, so it is on the consent calendar for reappointment, and my hope is that that you all pass that consent calendar and reappoint Miriam as she is interested in continuing to serve. Next item on the agenda is community events. Councilmember Boyce.
How about to go to Chief is chomping at the bit over there, so I feel pressure over there. Hey, thank you, Madam Mayor. We got a couple of things going on at the Cecil Sherwood Center. March 20th, we got the Seattle Thunderbird versus the Spokane Chief. March 21st, Tacoma Stars versus the St. Louis Ambush. April 19th is the third day 20th anniversary tour. And May 1st is a long day, almost a live concert, so it should be worth going and seeing, okay? And then on May 30th, we got the Kent International Festival, and then Juneteenth will be celebrate on June 20th at Moore Meadow Park. And then June 27th, we got the Parker McCullen, I'm assuming it's a concert. So it's country? Yeah. All right, sounds good. So lots of things going on at the Cecil Sherwood Center, so you get a chance to take the family and have a good time and spend some money in Kent. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Just to note, the T-Birds are in the running for the playoffs, so we are very, very close. Super excited that they've been playing well, so fingers crossed, all of the good wishes, because we would love to see them in the playoffs this year.
Yes.
All right, Chief. Public Safety Report. Joining us tonight is Chief Rafael Padilla.
All right, good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. It's my pleasure to bring the March Public Safety Report to you tonight. We're going to start with a swearing in of one of our new officers. If I could have Officer Anthony Cienega come up front, please. Sienna. Okay. I think I messed up his name. I tried, man. I tried. All right. So I'd like to introduce one of our newest officers. He is born and raised in Los Angeles, Anthony was, and graduated from the Chatsworth High School in California in 2012. After that, he moved to Arizona, where he worked as a property manager. And at that point, he decided to join the U.S. Army in 2019. He was a satellite communications specialist. He was stationed in Joint Base Lewis McChord, which brought him to Washington State, and with his family. He currently lives in Olympia with his wife, Nole, and his 3-year-old daughter, Olivia. And they have, it notes here, 2 very large black dogs. So that's part of their deal there. Why don't we, there we go. Got to remember to use this thing. In terms of education and background, he has a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity and is currently pursuing his master's in human resource management through the University of Maryland Global Campus. Before the PD, he was before taking the job with KPD, he worked as in the Department of Veteran Affairs and as a ratings veteran service representative, helping veterans receive the resources and services they earned and are entitled to. Reason for choosing Kent, he noted that he chose Kent out of many agencies because we stood out in terms of our strong command and training staff. And he says, so far, it has absolutely lived up to that impression. He knows there won't be easy days, but having a command team and peers who generally care makes all the difference to him. Thank you, Anthony. Checks in the mail for that one. Something notable about him, he dotes on his loving wife, who was here tonight. They've been married for 14 years, and he says that he's grateful for having her and his daughter by his side as he begins this new chapter in his life. Ladies and gentlemen, Officer Anthony Cienega. Mayor, would you do the honors, please?
Make this officially official. If you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Anthony Cienega,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the United States of America,
to the United States of America,
the state of Washington,
the state of Washington,
and the city of Kent.
and the city of Kent.
That I will uphold the Constitution and laws
That I will uphold the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington.
and that I will obey the rules and regulations
That I will obey the rules and regulations
of the Kent Police Department.
of the Kent Police Department.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Did he give you the ranger thing? Congrats. Hey, before you go, shout out to your family. What do you have with you tonight?
I have my wife, Noelle, and my daughter, Olivia.
Noelle.
So, yeah.
Welcome. Thanks for being here. Okay, a little more recognition in order for tonight's report. Every year, we take nominations for our internal Kent Police of the Year awards, and we recognize one professional support staff member, one corrections officer, and one police officer. And the winners are, as you see there, Kevin Axelson, who's our lone crime analyst. We could probably use, I don't know, like 10 of him, but he does a really Good job working that. Scott Colleen is our Corrections Officer of the Year, and Officer Rick Gilchrist is our Officer of the Year. You might have noted that it used to be Detective Rick Gilchrist. He has come out of detectives and into our training unit, which I'm super stoked about because now he's training the future Rick Gilchrist to do what he did when he was in detectives. So it's been a good fit. These three gentlemen have some things in common professionally. They all have, they're all seasoned vets of over 28 years and have had multiple assignments in our department, including all of them were trainers at some point and helped develop our people. But they're also multiple time winners of the Year Award. So Kevin Axelson has won it 4 times. This was his 4th. Scott Colleen has won it 3 times, and Rick Gilchrist has won it twice. So they're arguably at the tail end of their careers, over 2 decades each, but they're still setting an example, and their peers still think they are some of the best that we have, and I agree with them wholeheartedly. So congratulations to our of the Year winners this year.
Awesome.
Okay, now for a little bit of a hard transition. I wanted to come in and provide an update to the council and the community about some of the conditions of our downtown and the work and efforts that's going in there so we can, you know, we get a lot of questions about what are we doing, how's it working, what's not working, and so I wanted to provide some information and take questions. So with that, you know, the downtown core, as with many locations in our city, but for a long time, has been a sustained priority. And it's something that we've been working on for a while. It's certainly something that Mayor Ralph has set an expectation to all the department heads that this is a priority area, and we've been working to do what we can. The vitality of our downtown core is a major focus. Like I said, multiple departments have been engaged, not just the police, but also parks, public works, economic development, and at times other parts of the city as well. Over the past 2 years, I've been pleased to report some reduction in crime and definitely a reduction in some of the open drug use, right? There's a lot of factors that went into that, not the least of which are some of the ordinances that you passed and the emergence of our SOTA, right? Our SOTA zones, stay out of areas of drug activity. But despite the progress, the significant challenge remains, and we're going to talk about that tonight. So outreach to the community engagement. So each of those tabs represents work product that is going on every month and usually weekly by our staff. And I want to note, it's not just us. Again, it's a team effort across the city. And I also want to note this is one area of focus amongst many in the city. But we're talking quarterly meetings with our downtown partners, library coordination. We meet with them once a month to address safety issues there. We have monthly meetings with the Kent Downtown Partnership. We get constant emails, phone calls, complaints, messages. I know Mayor's inbox gets a lot of attention as well. We host an annual safety summit for our businesses to try and help them with crime prevention tips and safety. And then just ongoing coordination. We have become the de facto hub for addressing these issues as we should be. So it's a major undertaking. You see some of the stakeholders to the right there. And so that's the work that we're putting in all the time. Community concerns. So we do hear directly from our community, those quarterly business meetings. You know, the mayor is at all of them. She helps put them together. It's a commitment we have. And boy, I will tell you, there is no holding back on how they feel about things in the condition of Kent. It is, I make sure to wear my vest to those meetings. It is kind of hard to listen to sometimes, but they're speaking their reality and you know, the greater problem. Main concerns, the open drug use is something that, and the visible drug trafficking they bring up. Littering and sanitation. We'll use sanitation as the generic term, but if you use your imagination a little bit, that stretches into some really unsightly things. Property damage, right? Not just to buildings, but also to vegetation, things of that nature, break-ins to cars, and then the issues of unlawful camping and trespassing that's chronic there. What it means, businesses are reporting to us directly, and this is not hyperbole, that their customers and their employees do not feel safe often coming to work. And we can reflect those concerns, I should say, are reflected in 911 calls, our police reports, the complaints and officer observations, so to validate what they're saying. So predatory offenders, I think this is something for all of us to be aware of, and it is a huge contributing factor to what's going on downtown. Gathering areas can attract offenders who want to come and exploit our unhoused community members. One of the dynamics to be aware of is that our unhoused or homeless community is less likely than our general residents to call in and report crime to 911. Just something they don't do. They don't want any attention that way, and so it makes them easier targets. So offenders, this is not anything new to you, but many of our unhoused commit crime to sustain their drug habit and or to generate income. And many of those same people become victims and exploited by others. Predatory offenders, like I say, like to gather because they can get to victims that are vulnerable and not able to defend themselves necessarily, and they create these mobile drug trafficking markets. Many of you may recall, I remember when I was doing narcotics work, you know, you'd have territorial disputes over corners or streets or neighborhoods. The situation with the open drug trafficking has changed. They're mobile. It's kind of weird to think about it, but kind of like Uber for drugs. You know, you gather and the traffickers drive to you. And yes, they are using mobile technology to coordinate some of that. And so that's changed the way we've had the focus on it. It is why, well, maybe not as visible like on street corners, it is occurring significantly in our unhoused communities. And then we talked about the victimization, right? The predatory offenders coerce, they do violence, they do unsafe activity in our downtown, and it spews over, and it's noticeable by both patrons and employees downtown. Downstream harms, drug overdose, homicides in some cases, assaults, robberies, sexual assaults, and something not quite known is that in a lot of these camps, human trafficking is occurring. Okay, so this is a serious condition. What are we doing? What have we tried? The city has dedicated, you know, across multiple departments resources. We lead a lot of it. We're most visible for it, most appropriate to deal with it. And you see the list of things we're doing there on the left side there, and it's a lot. Operationally, we can make some improvement. And I'm going to talk about an emphasis we did here starting in January of this year. And we can make a dent in it. We can make it while we're sustaining the massive outlay of staff time. We can have an impact, but what we've seen consistently is the moment we dedicate resources to other parts of the city for other issues, the issues come back, and they're persistent, right? And it matters because, as you know, although we've staffed up a little bit, which I'm very appreciative of, sustaining that effort's very difficult to do. So that emphasis we talked about. So we ran a almost all hands on deck type of focus on the crime issues downtown. And that ran from January 5th to February 5th. Assistant Chief Grove was the incident commander for that operation. It included all of patrol, every shift, all of our special operations unit, all of our crime reduction unit. It's over. These are the numbers we captured. 480 contacts. They issued 349 warnings, and some of you may be thinking, well, what's with all the warnings? Most of those were trespass warnings. So the way that our trespass code works is that we have to go, and generally, we go and give a person a warning to leave if they're unlawfully in a place. If they leave, then we document it, it's good to go. If they don't, that's when the arrest authority comes in and we take enforcement action. So there was a lot of that. So a lot of this work, as you can tell, is going and having people pack up their stuff and get out of the entrances to businesses and other places where they should not be. We did make referrals to 214 people for services that were offered. I don't know, I don't have follow-on information on how successfully we connected them to actual services. And then of that, we had 88 arrests or citations. Arrests and citations, that is a lot. When you think that we have a 100-bed jail, in 1 month we, get 80% of the occupancy through the number of contacts. Now, I want to note, a good amount of those arrests were via citation where there were summons for court and they didn't get booked. And I also want to note that because these were talking about lower level crimes, We did the accountability thing on our end. They did not stay significant. They didn't spend significant time in jail before they were released. On the right, those are the major categories for what arrests did come of this emphasis. Drug possession leading the way. A lot of warrants were cleared up. Something I thought you would want to know, I know you're tracking the soda violations. There were 15 of those, and those are a number that is pretty consistent. We're seeing fairly good, I don't know, good's not the right word, fairly consistent numbers in terms of soda violations that we're dealing with. Now, usually it's one or two, and then they get the idea, but it sometimes takes one or two violations. And then we talked about the trespassing. So service outreach, you know, the way we look at the way we connect with our people downtown, our community members, is we start out, every contact's an opportunity to offer services, right? So we got housing service connections there, providing shelter, temporary housing, mental health treatment services, and substance use treatment. On the right there, you see just some of the partnering organizations that we work with. We literally go out with them in the field and try to make those connections, or we do referrals through back channels. And then service acceptance is still pretty low. We may go and contact 30 or 40 people before one of them will actually take services. It is a real challenge. We're going to talk about some of the things that drive the ability to make those decisions here shortly. So that issue there it contributes to the cycle and the return of activity that we don't want. So we're working with organizations that are impacting the downtown through their operations. Pure Kent is one that comes to mind first. They are an organization purpose with servicing our in-house community members, and they are a collection point for that. The mayor and I have been engaged both with Pierce Management and the property management there. We've had discussions. We're hoping to have a more recent discussion here. But the focus there is trying to align what they do and the good intent of what they're doing in a way that doesn't impact negatively in our downtown core. And having them partner with us in that responsibility that we all have for the condition of our downtown, basically being good neighbors. So that discussion goes on with them. We've had conversations over the years with multiple faith-based organizations for the same thing. A lot of well-intended nonprofit groups that come in and provide services like food distribution and do the feeds. We've been engaged with those. Our main message with them is that to consider what the impact of the litter and the debris, and what they don't know often is that the predators that come to those feeds, right? It's all this compounding issue. And then other providers we speak to as they come up. Again, the shared objective is to coordinate service delivery in a way that supports people while minimizing the unintended causes. So why is it persisting? Why aren't things getting better? This is a global issue, but speaking to Washington State, we are not performing well in this regard. In 2024, we were the 4th highest in overdose deaths per capita. Substance addiction often contributes to loss of employment. Loss of employment leads to chronic homelessness. You guys can recall the presentation by Mayor Zimmerman. The 10-year study was pretty clear. Those things are linked. And so what it means for us is as long as the rate of addiction increases or remains high, the rate of homelessness will continue to increase or remain very high. That's the challenge, right? And I put that up there just to say the bottom line is this is much bigger than the city resources, city staff can deal with. We are swimming upstream here doing what we can, but this is beyond the scope of what city government can take care of. The graph to the side there, you might remember from the presentation I spoke of, that red line, for those that can see it, is Washington State. And that is the progression of overdose deaths per capita. And yes, we are at the top of most states in the country there, and highest for the rate of growth since 2014. Not a good number. Challenges, So we have some structural realities that are important to remember in this that local government is restricted to. We have no mechanism to compel people to treatment. You've heard me speak to the fact that we are a voluntary treatment-based approach to this. You've also heard me say that people don't voluntarily quit fentanyl, which is point number 2. The impact of the powerful narcotics, particularly fentanyl, do not allow people to make those rational decisions to get clean and to get help. It just doesn't occur. And so that's the challenge there. You've heard me speak to it before. And then the culmination of our laws and our good, just quite honestly, our good-natured wanting to help people provides an environment where, quite frankly, it's pretty easy to survive out on the streets for a sustained period of time because you can get what you need pretty easily. And in Kent in particular, the concentration of services provided is all right here. I'm not saying it's easy to live on the street, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying if that occurs, you can maintain yourself fairly well. So there's the challenge. So why downtown Kent? I alluded to already. If you look to the right there, there's some of the amenities that are right here in our downtown core. Food bank, public library, transit center, DSHS, mobile health units, parks and public spaces, Pure Kent and other providers. One of the things I haven't touched on recently is the jail and courts. We have both the county jail and court system and the city court and jail system here. And so when people get released to jail, if they go into incarceration unhoused, they come out of incarceration unhoused. And many of them stay here in Kent. Okay? And then being a downtown business district with buildings, we provide natural shelter. Well, not natural shelter, but we provide shelter, right? Alcoves, doorways, alleyways. These are places to get some relief from the shelter, which if you're unhoused, that's attractive to you. So current and ongoing strategies, we're continuing our multi-pronged approach. Service coordination, focus operations from the police department. This year, one of the top priorities operationally is to go after street level drug trafficking. And yes, I'm saying it for everybody to hear. We are coming after the trafficking organizations that are here in our city with everything we can. And then we're leveraging the crime reduction unit for all of that. Everyday enforcement, so patrolsmen directed with amongst their things. We issue areas of responsibility to our officers called districts, and we have asked them to look beyond their areas of responsibility and to take care of issues as they see them in between calls, even if it's not in their area. We need everybody pulling to try and help impact this issue. Ongoing business and resident partnerships, as I touched upon before, crime prevention and business checks, and dedicated deployment. So we have our special operations unit that does the engagement right now. That funding that I'm going to talk about here from House Bill 2015, we are setting up a second bike team that will be dedicated to being in our downtown core full-time. And so that's going to help a ton. And then the establishment of our drug trafficking unit and our human trafficking unit. That is all coming, I guess, in relative terms for government soon. But soon means those units we hope to have deployed and functional by third quarter of this year, fourth quarter of this year. It just takes that long to get it developed. So, CEO Fitzpatrick, you wanted to talk about some of the city efforts.
Yeah, just to address a central issue here, we've had a lot of challenges in the Kaibara Park area that is just east of the King County Library. Staff met last week, and we've taken action to try to resolve some of the issues there. So a couple of things we're doing. Our Parks Department met with the police department folks and looked at CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design issues. Parks has gone in already and removed some of the plantings at Kaibara Park to open it up because it was exceptionally overgrown. and there's not a lot of daylight into the park there in terms of visibility. So that park area was becoming a bit of a focus. Our understanding that is in part because there was a regular feeding program that was going on there. So we control what we control. So we took care of the park. We have installed lights on the shed that's in the park, and we're removing some old inoperable electrical outlets because those tend to be an attractive nuisance for folks who need to charge things. So we're taking that action in the park. We've completed that work. We're now going to hold and assess what kind of impact that has on the area. The other thing we are doing, which is this is a big deal, as if you're familiar with that area, you will know that that road does not go out to Smith Street anymore. Way back when it was closed with bollards, the Public Works Department within the next few weeks will be opening that roadway up, so that traffic will now go through on First Avenue all the way onto Smith Street to create a right in and right out situation. We have talked to downtown folks. They are business owners. They are very happy with it. The library is ecstatic about it. They want that park to be an asset, so we're trying to move in that direction. For your information, at least one, possibly a number of street trees will have to be removed on Smith. They will be replanted with a better tree that does not block visibility for people turning out of First Avenue. Again, that should be done in about 3 weeks or so. Chad's here if you have any questions on that particular issue. The other thing that I want to make you aware of is that the King County Library they're very supportive of our efforts. We have coordinated this with them as well. They are going under a massive renovation of that building and will be shutting it down in August for approximately 6 months, possibly a little longer, to do a full renovation of the building there. So that is going to happen. Anyway, with regard to the roadway and Kayabara Park, we're taking action in those particular locations because those have been hot spots for the police department, and we're doing what we can there. So,
Yeah, one question for Pat, Mayor.
Councilmember Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Pat, when they close that library and shut it down, are they going to gate that off? Do you know?
I assume that they will. Yeah, they're going to have to.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing this is a big renovation.
Okay.
So I assume they will. I mentioned that when I met with them a few weeks ago, and I'm confident they will. Yes.
So,
I don't know if they can close down the parking lot itself or will, but much of the building will be secured.
so there's a lot of traffic in that area today, right? So I can see them revamping it, making it look nice. So what's going to stop for bringing all that traffic back around the library area that we see today?
I can't really speak for the library. Their policies, I think, have changed over the past few years, and I think they're redesigning their library to be a more traditional library, user-friendly building. So I think that's part of their goal, but I can't speak on specifics with them. I anticipate, though, the reason we want to open the road is we want to get people driving past. Right now, it's a dead end.
Yeah.
It's an alcove, and there's not much there's no vehicle traffic back there. There's also not a lot of foot traffic. Our belief is that that area is a problem because it is kind of cordoned off, and it's, there's not a lot of activity in the area. Opening up the road will allow traffic to go through, and it's our experience that based on other things, that should be helpful with that particular area.
Okay.
Any other questions? Councilmember Troutner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chief, I really appreciate you sharing this information. It's difficult to see, but I think it's really important for us to see this and for our community. I have two questions. The first one is, when we close the alley between KDP and Pier, have we noticed a difference, or are people still congregating there because Pier's there, or have they moved somewhere else? What can you say about that area?
It ebbs and flows. I think in the alley itself, I think the businesses are seeing some relief just because you can't get access to it. but we're still seeing some congregation out on the sideways and collections. It really ebbs and flows. I do want to say of note, I think Mayor had mentioned to me they've provided security and they're trying to keep people off the sidewalk. And it really, this message isn't that we're against peer and providing services. The message is that we do have to recognize that with that service comes these issues. And so what is it we can do to mitigate those issues?
Thank you. And then my second question, when you did the focused enforcement outreach, did officers focus any attention to these areas where there's the fees, like the churches? And then did you notice like a decline in some of that drug trafficking when that was happening?
Great question. It's not, I didn't include it in the report because it wasn't significant and the data set's not significant, right, 1 month. But I can confirm our calls for service in the downtown area did go down, and they went down week by week. So we started off with the first initial wave of contacts the first week, and every week after we saw less and less need to contact people and less calls for crime incidents in the same area. So yes, that was the outcome.
Councilmember Shoker.
Couple of questions. So when you put up the data for the 480 subjects, so that was just in our downtown area?
Just in downtown.
And then when you said that you had met with peer and the church groups that are providing services, was there a conclusion or forward? Or?
I think there was an exchange of information. In terms of significant operational changes, I think we did get some eventually, and we weren't the convincing voice, and of course we didn't get as far as we would have liked. But what I think really was at one of our meetings, one of our church leaders and the director for Peer Kent heard directly what we get to hear all the time from the business owners. And I think that was a little bit of a wake-up call for them. This wasn't just local government saying we don't want this. It was their neighbors telling them that. So that had some impact. So.
Other questions for the chief? All right. Thank you.
Okay. We will move on to the last discussion point for this presentation, for this report. I spoke to this at Cal this morning, so I promised the City Council I won't go into all of the details from before, but I would encourage our public to, if they're interested, please go online and take a look at the recording of that presentation for more details, because this is kind of a hard thing to explain, but I'll try here. So House Bill 2015, we were awarded grant approval. So now this is the completion of both sides of this grant funding that was awarded by the state. We qualified earlier for the 0.01% sales tax, and we were the first to meet that goal. And then we got to work on the grant approval, which is why I'm here tonight to celebrate and say thank you. So we received $1.92 million in public safety grant funds, which was received and accepted by the council this afternoon. Those grant funds will allow us to hire ahead 20 officers, and it covers their salaries for the hire ahead portion of it. I want to be really clear because this is the confusing part. They are not new positions. What this allows us to do is, instead of waiting till somebody retires and then hiring someone and taking 18 months to get them up to speed, we are able to use grant funding to hire them ahead of time. And by the time our retirees go on to their wonderful retirement, these officers will come onto the city payroll. It was a pretty innovative idea by our deputy chief, Matt Stansfield, to say, I bet we could pay for this. The goal being so that when we go through what we anticipate to be a significant retirement phase in 2027 and 28, that our staffing will remain pretty constant and stable. We won't see major deficits in terms of vacant positions. So that's great. We also got funding for de-escalation training for our officers. We provide this de-escalation training ongoing. It's expensive. A lot of times, because of our staffing challenges, officers are mandated to do this on overtime. And so we asked for money to cover that expense, and they're going to cover it. They're also covering some newer training for our supervisors in regards to use of force review, Our policy is that every single use of force is reviewed, both the body-worn camera, the report, by our supervisors, and then up the chain to make sure that everything was within policy and law. We have had this mandate, and this training gives supervisors more knowledge and skill on how to do that appropriately. And then we were also awarded funding to install another 48 medical sensors at our jail. And these medical sensors are, they will, I think, become industry standard in corrections facilities. But what they do is they allow for electronic anonymous monitoring of people in our custody for medical issues, heartbeat, blood pressure. And so if someone is in a cell and they start experiencing medical conditions, a medical emergency, the machine recognizes that and sends an alert to on-duty staff so they can respond to provide life-saving medical support. We think that this will result in us saving more lives. As you know, we arrest people that are suffering from addiction issues, and we provide outstanding medical care for them while they're in our custody, but not everybody survives fentanyl. And that includes people that are in our care. We provide a lot of treatment to try and get them safely off of the drug. So those are the things we got in the grant. I feel Councilmember Larimer to my right, because she brought up a great question earlier today. So that is what we'll call one set of money that came out of the law. The other set is the sales tax, and I want to reiterate, those are new positions. Our council jumped on that, approved receiving that tax, which started in January, and that money will account for 10 new positions, new officer positions, I need to be specific, a corrections officer, a prosecutor, an evidence technician, and if the mayor makes me defense spending for defense representation, just kidding. But all of that for public safety related purposes. That is ongoing permanent funding, and those are permanent positions. So two separate funding streams there. I know it's really confusing. Hopefully I didn't make it worse. And then lastly, I just want to say a huge thank you to the people that were directly on the team that made this happen. We were the first in the state to get this done on both sides of the funding. It was a monumental task. The first 20-plus agencies that applied did not qualify. We got partial approval, and we really had to work, and there was a lot that went into that, but City Attorney Tammy White, Finance Director Paula Painter, Deputy Chief Matt Stansfield, and our Assistant Chiefs Eric Hemmen, Jared Kasner, and Annie Grove. I didn't mention our Policy Director Kyle Moore was also instrumental in meetings and having conversations with those in the state legislature and the governor's office. It took weeks and hours of work on top of people's already busy schedules, but Kent got it done, and I'm super thankful of that. Mayor, that completes my report, and I'll take any questions if there are any.
All right, thank you, Chief. Council, any questions? All right, I do want to highlight, leaned over during the presentation, and the Hire Ahead program in the police department is something that, as an HR professional, Councilmember Boyce has been talking about and hoping for I'm not going to age either one of us, but well over a decade. Yes. So the fact that we have this opportunity and that's the focus of this,
Finally.
Hoping there's a big smile on Councilmember Boyce's face that we finally got there. So
Good news.
Yeah.
Good news.
Really grateful for that.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, we're going to move into reports, item on the agenda where you get the opportunity to hear about the work that everyone seated up here on the dais is doing outside of our regular council meetings on the 1st and 3rd of each month. Making sure that Kent's voice is represented in regional conversations, statewide conversations around policy, funding, and basically the direction of where our region is headed. I'm going to start with a couple of updates. First one is Transportation Policy Board at Puget Sound Regional Council. We are working on finalizing the regional transportation plan. At our last meeting, we had an update on input on the draft plan. really proud of the work that PSRC has done through this process in outreach, and that was reflected in the comments. The amount of time spent talking to the community, talking with different organizations and municipalities, other jurisdictions, really resulted in a limited amount of concerns with the draft. So that will be coming back to the policy board next month and then on to the General Assembly in May. Do want to highlight that on Puget Sound Regional Council's website, there is a RTP, Regional Transportation Plan dashboard. And that dashboard is really interesting. I know a lot of you are data people. If you get a chance, go and check out that dashboard. Everything from commute times by jurisdiction to the number of people that ride bicycles to work in a jurisdiction, environmental impacts, safety, transit boardings, really good data to understand how people are moving in and around that four-county region. So a couple of other more highlights. I had the opportunity last week to go down and watch a performance from our Adaptive Rec cheer team. So our Adaptive Rec program is phenomenal here in the city of Kent. So working with our residents with developmental disabilities, I will tell you, so much spirit in that cheer team. They performed 2 cheers for me. Really excited. They were really excited to have the opportunity to participate in a program like cheer. We also heard a lot about their bowling team. So just want to say thank you to our parks team for putting on what is honestly a very recognized across the region adaptive recreation program. Couple of other highlights on Friday. In the middle of the snowstorm, I had a chance to attend the Communities in Schools South King County breakfast. So if you're not familiar with that program, providing direct mentorship to our students in the Kent School District, making sure that there is that one-on-one relationship with a trusted adult to help our students through the struggles of being a middle school student and a high school student, and connecting them to services and just having that opportunity to know that there's someone that cares. So always happy to support Communities in Schools, and Mike Heinisch was there to remind people why it's important to support Communities in Schools. So and it was snowing. So that was the other thing. Went into that meeting at 7 in the morning, and at 9 o'clock walked out, and the snow was still coming down. So thank you to everyone that braved the snow on that day. With that, I'm going to go ahead and end my report. Just a lot of good things going on in the community. One last thing, you asked about the library. So I did meet with the director of the Kent Library yesterday, and they are looking at a significant internal remodel, being very purposeful with the goal of making sure that the library is the place that we all want it to be, where families and students, those needing access to language services, can come and feel welcome and safe. I am really excited. They have preliminary drawings. Did talk to them about coming back before they start the remodel, presenting to council so you can get an idea of the changes that they're going to be making. And they were very supportive of things like opening the road, the work in Kaibara Park, because again, their goal is really to make the library a place where people feel welcome and safe. Really, some really cool things coming to the children's area, changes internally, and we will make sure to get them on an agenda, work with Council President to get them on an agenda coming up in the summer to talk about that really significant remodel. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Pat Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2 quick updates. Reminder that on Tuesday of next week, we have a joint meeting with the Kent School District. That will be at the school district meeting room, and start time is 6 p.m., and you are encouraged to arrive about 30 minutes earlier for the council. And then of note, the Washington State legislative session ended last week. It was a tough one for the city, and we will have an update from our government relations manager, Kyle Moore, and Brianna Murray sometime in April. So stay tuned for that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Boyce, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam Mayor, excuse me, yes. Pat, what is the agenda item for Tuesday? Have you seen anything that we know what that is yet for the Tuesday meeting?
The joint meeting?
Yeah.
We're going to have a presentation from a joint presentation from the school district and Bill Ellis. And they're going to talk about the Pathways to Work program that Bill Ellis has been working on and the funding they've received. That's the main point of the meeting. That's really the only main agenda item that we have. I think the school district's going to, I believe they're planning on doing a budget update as well. So that's what we have on tap.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Okay, with that said, we had committee as a whole, and I was so excited to talk about our public safety grant, but the chief stole my thunder, so nothing else I can say about that. There were a lot of good things, so I really appreciate that. Also, workshop, we got an update from the downtown planning update for 2050. Excellent presentation on, the thing that we're looking at to be for 2050. They had like 5 different goals. One was identity and placemaking, housing and living downtown. They have economic development and equity environment, transportation and connectivity, and then infrastructure and coordination. Really, what I like about it, they got the goals that they outline, and also they have strategy that tied to each one of the goals. So if you have opportunity, I would encourage you to go to the city website and take a look at that. As far as the committee that I sit on the Sound City Association PIC committee. Last time I was meeting, I talked about we as PIC, we decided we're going to go back to our old ways, and when we get stuff on the agenda item, we get to talk about it twice. Well, the first meeting, we didn't get to talk about it twice. We had something that kind of hit us real hard, and that was really, and we didn't have too much time to plan for it, but it is what it is. But King County Transportation District is considering a new revenue stream for sales tax, and they were looking at 0.1 for councilmatic or 0.2 to take to the voter. And before I go any further, I want to say, Kyle Moore spent lots of time with me really just talking through this here, and really enjoy my conversation with him. I think, we had a lot of good hires in the city, but this is a really good hire here. I would say that. And I know we got him towards, a baseball analogy, we got him towards the 8th inning last year, but he did a lot of work, so I'm looking forward to him going to preseason camp and getting all ready for the following year coming. But really phenomenal job, Kyle, and I really thank you for your leadership and the information. However, Lala, what did I say? Did I say something wrong? Pat, I'm sorry, did I not call you out or what? Did I miss something? Anyway, with that said, at the end of the day, there's a lot of dialogue. We had quite a few items on the agenda item. We did not get beyond that one agenda item because there's a lot of conversation around this. Really, with the sales tax, unincorporated King County is about 20% of the road, but the city maintained the other 80% plus, right? And 95% of the revenue come from the city, but look like the city will get a very small portion of that, or if any at all, right? So we went round and round and round and round. We did come up with something to recommend to the SCA board. I'm not sure you guys had a chance to look tomorrow, look at that. And really, we end up really just saying, instead of hopefully not to get nothing, we kind of left at least 25% of that will come to the city. So we'll see how that goes. It was really a long, tough meeting, and a lot of the cities, except for 2 that probably don't not worry about money, didn't seem to think it was an issue though. But it was good dialogue. I think we ended up in a good place. So we'll see what the board do when you guys get it tomorrow.
Yeah, so just a follow up on this, King County Council, or in this case, the King County Transportation District, will be having a public hearing on the implementation of this tax Thursday at 9 a.m. So if you're interested, there will be public comment opportunity to weigh in and provide input on this tax, support or opposition. So it's a 0.1% sales tax, and all of that money would be directed, even though collected in cities, would be directed to unincorporated road maintenance. So again, 9 a.m., King County Council, as the Transportation District, will be having a public hearing.
It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. So, okay, Councilmember Shoker, anything you want to share with us?
Yeah, thank you. So last week I also got to attend the Communities in School breakfast where we heard directly from students and coordinators about how the organization supports schools in South King County. I also signed up to be a mentor, so I'm really excited about that. I also got to observe the community court at the Kent Municipal Court, which is an approach that focuses on connecting individuals with services and support rather than just penalties. So it was a valuable opportunity to see how our courts are supporting individuals and addressing underlying challenges.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Michelle?
Thank you, Councilmember. I serve on the Washington Community Forestry Committee, and last time I told you that the funding for the grant program for cities and other organizations for tree planting projects was removed from the budget. That was put back into the budget, so that's good news for anyone who's eligible for those projects. We have a Human Services Commission meeting on Thursday, and King County Regional Law, Safety, and Justice Committee, which I serve on, will be happening next week. It's our first one of the year, and I will be bragging about our Kent Police Department and our grant funding and handing out the chief's phone number so other agencies can call and figure out how to get that money. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Larmer?
Thank you, Council President. So I'm the subject matter chair for Economic and Community Development. We had a couple items this afternoon on our Committee of the Whole. The first one was adopting an ordinance to address historic preservation at the Mill Creek Historic District. This is really just housekeeping, making sure the language of our code matched state code. They've actually been we've had historic preservation in that area since 2013. So that was just housekeeping. We also had another ordinance that was has to do with the community commercial mixed use overlay. It's a little bit more complicated. I suggest people watch the Committee of the Whole broadcast for exact information, because I will not do it justice technically. But it does open up some townhomes along in certain corridors and some home ownership opportunities, which I know we've wanted for a long time. I also will be serving on the King County Growth Management Planning Committee, and I just got notice that our first meeting of the year, which was supposed to be in March, has just now been moved to April. So that's been put off a little bit, and that ends my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Larmer. Councilmember Boyd?
Yes, and my report's going to be short because the majority will be in the newsletter. But I would like to, first of all, say thanks to Una, who's not here, but she did a great job in organizing the retreat we had. I mean, it got council members and staff got us together to sit down and talk about our weakness and our strengths and how we could coordinate, and I think she did a great job. Also, I sit on the Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority Board, Governance Board, and something that Chief Jones, I just thought I would bring this up, Chief Jones brought up last week. He talked about one of our firemen Brandon McMinnon, who succumbed to cancer last year, June of 2025. He told us something that it spoke to all of our hearts who sits on the governance board. He told us that this organization called Tunnels to Towers paid for his mortgage after he passed. So I thought that was really, really, really good news to hear, that our first line firefighters and police officers do have people that are out there looking for them besides insurance and what have you. So it's Tunnels Tower organization. They're a good organization, and that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Councilmember Troutner.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyce. I am subject matter chair for the Public Works Department, and earlier at our Committee of the Whole, the council accepted grant funds from the King County Solid Waste Division, and it is for our 2026-27 Waste Reduction and Recycling Program. It's a great program. We put on recycling events. They will go through the end of 2027. We have big events and we have mini events. You can check out kentwa.gov and search Talking Trash to find out what things are accepted, but anywhere from appliances to yard debris, concrete, tires, styrofoam are accepted at our big recycling events. One of those events will be June 3rd. We will also have a mini event April 10th. And again, you can visit the website to find out what's accepted at both of those events. I do sit on the Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority Governance Board. A highlight from our meeting on March 4th, the Governance Board is looking at making a plan amendment to what our Governance Board will look like as the RFA continues to grow. We have a fairly significantly large board right now, and looking at the makeup of that in the future as we continue to grow. So having that conversation, I also, our next meeting is tomorrow for RFA. The Regional Transit Committee will also meet tomorrow. And then lastly, Mayor Ralph, I appreciate you talking about the PSRC dashboard. I sit on Skateboard, which is the South County Area Transportation Board. We met today and we had a presentation on PSRC and their regional transit plan, and they talked about the dashboard, and I have a link to the dashboard in the newsletter that we'll go out tomorrow. So if you're interested, that will be there. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Troutner. That ends our report. Madam Mayor, you want to talk about what's happened on Thursday?
Oh, I was like, that is a trick question. This Thursday up at our new Kent East Hill Operations Center will be the State of the City address. So great opportunity to show off to the community our new maintenance and operations facility. Spoiler alert, long time in coming. Way back at the end of the 60s is when we built our current operations and maintenance facility, and the city had a population of somewhere under 30,000. We are now serving 34 square miles and 140,000 people. So that is the purpose behind that building. Really excited for people to see it, and we'll be talking about the challenges and successes that were 2025, and then the future plans for 2026. So 6:30 doors open, and presentation starts at 7 p.m. Thank you. So thank you. All right. With that, we are going to move on in the agenda. Item number 6 is public hearing. We do not have one this evening. Item number 7 is public comment. This is an opportunity to speak to the council and mayor on issues that relate to the business of the city of Kent or agenda items the council will consider. This is not an open public forum, and comments that do not relate to the business of the city are not permitted. Additionally, the state of Washington prohibits people from using the public comment opportunity for political campaign purposes, including supporting or opposing ballot measures or candidates for office. In providing public comment, we do ask that speakers address the mayor and council as a whole, and remarks intended to target an individual on the dais are not permitted. Melissa, can you please call our speakers?
Gwen Allen Karsten.
We do have a 3-minute timer that will be up on the screen, and Gwen, you know the drill. If you could state your name and city of residence for the record.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Gwen Allen Karsten. I live up on East Hill for the last 20-something years. Very proudly to be up there. And first of all, I have a statement, but I wanted to commend Chief. I call a lot, but I call with purpose. And Chief doesn't turn me down. He doesn't give me anything. He just says, we'll take care of that. So personally, I'm kind of starting my own campaign, nothing political. I'm starting a see something, say something. And that's not with malice or anything in question. It's because we live here and we know that the city is doing well. We appreciate everything that the city is doing. And so that's my personal thing, and I'm not, doing it for any other reason than I care about the city where I live. I'm here tonight to speak on something that may seem simple, but it impacts every single person in our city, our roads. The potholes throughout Kent have become unacceptable. They're damaging vehicles, creating safety hazards, and sending a clear message to residents that basic infrastructure is not being prioritized. We are not talking about 1 or 2 isolated streets. This is happening across neighborhoods, on main roads, side streets, and in areas where families, seniors, and working people rely on safe travel every day. Our community is frustrated. People are paying taxes, yet they are also paying out of pocket for car repairs caused by preventable road conditions. This is not just about inconvenience. It's about public safety, equity, and accountability. We need a clear and transparent plan for pothole repair, a timeline for addressing the most impacted areas, and consistent communication so residents know when help is coming. Kent is a growing city, and our infrastructure must reflect that growth. We cannot continue to fall behind on basic maintenance. I urge the mayor and council to prioritize immediate and long-term solutions to fix our roads and restore confidence in our city's services. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
TJ.
Thank you very much. Hello, Mayor, Council. Thanks for the opportunity. Let me touch on what the chief said. Looking forward to going after some of the people that are selling drugs, have been selling drugs to the homeless, to the poor amongst our streets for a long time. I'm seeing the same faces for almost a decade. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out who's showing up to selling the drugs. We don't make that stuff here. It comes from someplace else. I'm optimistic that the chief and his team and federal and state authorities will maybe work on this. Look out for the least amongst us, please. I want to talk about street level. Tonight you're on consent, you're authorizing the grant for street level Salvation Army. Great job. I mean, they helped me out. 2020, they've been around since 2019. I was probably one of their first people. And I know if I get a problem, I can call Tina up on the phone. They're doing great work. We don't hear much about street level. We don't hear much about reach. They don't do a lot of public relations. They don't spend a lot of money on marketing, running around in big four-wheel drive trucks and putting on 5Ks. They're on the streets. They're doing the work. They're building relationships. I trusted them. Their trust is well-deserved. That's how you build a relationship with the people. You got to, they do what they say they're going to do. They say what they're going to do. You need housing, you need shelter. And I want to give a shout out to Human Services, Gwen, Zandria Michaud, Councilmember Michaud. Sharon spoke out in favor of him. John Boyd, he's done ride-alongs with them. Thanks for the support for this. We need to look out for some of the people. We have a lot more people coming on the streets because we have no really minimal rental protections. The economy's getting sideways. Our seniors are ending up outside. A lot of kids are coming up. The jobs they're getting can't support the rents in this town. Just a little fun fact. Per household, we have the lowest number of housing units in the country. We all like these fun facts. When you take our households and the lowest number of housing units, that's kind of by design. We need to really work on that. I want to give a shout out to our state delegation, passing the step housing so that they take some of the obstacles of supportive, temporary, emergency housing. Very important. The city has got a dark lack of it. The police officers and street level, when they come across a citizen in crisis, we need to get them out of that. Then they can maybe work on treatment. Then they can be safe from the predators that the chief talked about. So I'm really supportive of the direction some of the things are going on in this city. And I just want to say thank you. And from what I understand is Women's Month. We talk about why I do what I do, just for a real quick thing. There's a lady that I've been following for a long time. She's left us, Dorothy Day, little quote. This is just for me, what drives me. The mystery of the poor is this. They are Jesus.
I need you to wrap up.
The mystery of the poor is this. They are Jesus. What you do for them, you do for him. Our salvation depends on the poor. Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Mike Heinzel.
Good evening again, and thank you for the time. Since I was here, I thought I would just say a few more things. First of all, congratulations to the chief and to you all on the 2015 achievement. That's terrific. I saw it about a week ago, 10 days ago, and it's wonderful to hear, so congratulations on that. I also want to say, you know, I retired 5.5 years ago. I got nothing to do. So I watch a lot of council meetings. I watch a lot of school board meetings. Kent City Council, Burien and SeaTac, School District, King County, legislative hearings. I don't watch it at night all the time necessarily. I watch ball games basically, although I'm missing one tonight. But I want to say, of all the legislative bodies I see over the last couple of years, this one functions the best. Now, I'm sure, I know, you probably have tensions among yourselves. You probably do some fighting in the back room. You probably do some disagreements in public open meeting sessions, which you need to do so the public can hear and see. But I have to say, remarkably, you do come here ready to get something done, and you've talked it out already and hashed it out already, and it shows because of the things you've heard tonight. And I think the way you function together when you come to this meeting. So just a couple of minutes to say, since I'm here, that it's well worth knowing that some people watch and some people say that's how government should function. And I think you're doing a good job at that right now. So keep it going.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Mike, I've been contemplating retirement, but you have given me something to look forward to, so thank you.
He says he has time, but I also see him at every function and all around. So I know that he's also still actively volunteering and participating. So, all right. Okay. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on. Item number 8 is the consent calendar. This evening we have items A through G. Consent calendar is a compilation of work that the City Council has done both at workshop and Committee of the Whole. Had an opportunity to have discussion and ask questions. These items have passed out of Committee of the Whole without controversy. Again, we have items A through G. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So move, Madam Mayor.
Second, Madam Mayor.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Item number 9 is other business. We do not have any this evening, nor do we have any bids or an executive session. So that brings us down to the bottom of the agenda. I want to say thank you to everyone for participation and being here this evening. And with that, we are adjourned.